Welcome to the gaming news of the week. As we anticipated, Star Wars Outlaws now has a confirmed release date later this year, which was shown in the new story trailer Ubisoft recently released. Massive Entertainment's title will be available on August 30th for PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and the Amazon Luna cloud gaming service. It's worth mentioning that Star Wars Outlaws can be pre-ordered starting today, and the game will be available in 3 versions. Those who purchase it now will receive the Kessel Runner bonus package, which includes cosmetic items for their speeder and the Starhawk ship. We also got a few more details on the story. Scoundrel Kves will have to steal the fortune of the Zerekbesh criminal family to buy her freedom. But it won't be easy, as she betrayed Sliro, the boss of the Zerekbesh criminal family, and now there's a bounty on her head. In the trailer, we also saw a bunch of references to Star Wars characters, ships, and scenarios, featuring Jabba the Hutt, Han Solo's carbonite imprisonment, and a Star Destroyer, among others. Star Wars Outlaws is going to be the first major game in the franchise that has not been developed by any of the studios belonging to EA. It's going to be interesting to see a game that's more focused on the Scoundrel side of the Star Wars series, so if it sounds interesting, definitely keep it on your radar for the end of August. Next up, Albion Online started its open beta in Europe. Sandbox Interactive has announced the start of its open beta for the European server of Albion Online. Until April 23rd, all participants will be able to obtain the exclusive Duelist set that they will keep when the server officially launches on April 29th. The new server promises to offer much faster connections, better ping, and lower latency, as well as optimized schedules for the game's events based on the EU time zone. The Albion Europe server is the 3rd server launch for the game, following the opening of Albion America in 2017 and Albion Asia in 2023. If you're looking to play Albion in the Europe server, you may be interested in the Founders Packs for Albion Europe. These offer numerous rewards and benefits, such as early access to the new server, valuable in-game items including gold, premium status days which provide players with higher quality of life and accelerate progression, and exclusive titles, avatars, furniture, and cosmetics for Founders. Additionally, Founders will have full access to the closed beta starting on April 3rd, 2024, during which they can participate in a unique challenge to unlock additional cosmetics. They also offer access to the official launch of the server and will allow players to reserve the names of their characters and clans. All players will be able to access the open beta starting on April 10th. Next, we have a small update from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has finally received update 1.03, which fixes the serious bug that made it impossible to obtain the Platinum Trophy due to an error in progression. Fortunately, Square Enix has already addressed this on PS5. The Mission Gamers Challenge can now be completed after finishing all tasks and playing all Gold Saucer minigames after reaching Chapter 12. In the previous patch released for the game, Square Enix introduced new graphics modes, and this one had a slightly higher weight, although not by much, 5.7GB compared to the previous 4.9. It was a bit ridiculous that players couldn't get the platinum, but at least Square Enix implemented a fix pretty quickly. Additionally, several other bugs and issues have now been resolved within the game. Next up, we have some news for Darkest Dungeon 2. Red Hook Studios released a new trailer for Darkest Dungeon 2, the 2D turn-based action game for PC. The video also features a brief preview of the new Kingdom mode, which will be available for free. In case you haven't heard of it, Darkest Dungeon 2 is a roguelike adventure with elements of Western RPG, also featuring a dark aesthetic and currently standing out there as one of the most notable indie RPGs in the genre. This new game mode challenges players in a desperate race against the clock to find and defeat a monstrous threat before it overwhelms and destroys the kingdom. Travel the land to gather resources and fight off evil raids while defending a network of safe haven inns. The Kingdoms mode will be played separately from the original and will be available through a free update to be released on a day yet to be determined in 2024. As for battles, the inclusion of 3 new factions has been confirmed: the Coven, the Beastmen, and the Crimson Courtiers. Chris Bourassa, co-founder and creative director of Red Hook, explained that Kingdoms is a project that excites us. If you look at our release history, no game or DLC has been left without new ideas, and we are proud to maintain that tradition. This new game mode blends the persistence and management of the original Darkest Dungeon with the combat and exploration of Darkest Dungeon 2. All in all, it looks pretty exciting, and if you have the game, why not try it? Next up for the news of this week, Dredge is getting a live-action film adaptation. Dredge was one of the best indie titles of 2023, and it's now surprisingly coming to theaters, where the terrifying fishing and exploration game will have a live-action movie. Story Kitchen will be responsible for carrying out this adaptation, working closely with Black Salt Games, the developers of the original game. Story Kitchen is dedicated to adapting video games to film, such as the work-in-progress Tomb Raider series for Netflix and the Sonic movies. The adaptation of Dredge is being described as the sixth sense in the water, and will be a mix of atmospheric and grounded cosmic horror by H.P. Lovecraft and Ernest Hemingway. However, this title is not the only one that's getting a live-action adaptation. Minecraft is also getting its own movie in 2025. And in case you didn't know, the first images from that set have already been seen some time ago. It seems like video game adaptations are becoming more common in cinema, but it's not very easy to make a product that lives up to expectations, especially when it comes to a video game adaptation. Still, this is undoubtedly very good news to celebrate the recent anniversary of its release, which managed to surpass 1 million in sales and is getting ready for a release of its second DLC, the Iron Rig. Next we have some news of the remake of Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. Ubisoft Montreal has reportedly rebuilt the Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time remake from scratch, and plans to showcase it very soon. It's been quite some time since the remake was announced by Ubisoft, and news has been so scarce since then that many doubted whether the game would be released at all. But the game's development is still ongoing and it seems to be more alive than ever. Following the criticisms on the graphical presentation when it was announced, Ubisoft has provided new details that bring reassurance regarding the development of the remake. According to various sources, a realistic approach has been adopted for the new version of the remake, with significant graphical improvements, new animations, and new combat and parkour mechanics, along with other changes. Additionally, the script has been modified, and all motion capture work has been redone. Ubisoft is reportedly preparing a significant presentation for this new Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake, although there's no clear date on when that will be. Will they showcase it at the June event they recently announced? For now, we'll have to wait. Next we have news on Remnant 2's new DLC, The Forgotten Kingdom. Gunfire Games made it in 2019 with Remnant from the Ashes. Last year saw the release of the sequel, Remnant 2, and the studio promised 3 DLC expansions. Now, the developers announced that the second one, called The Forgotten Kingdom, will arrive on April 23rd. The news was revealed through a trailer that presented the first details of the new DLC. The Forgotten Kingdom will allow us to explore the ruins of an ancient civilization to learn the story of a lost tribe from the Yeisha biome in a completely new story. Additionally, this expansion will add a new class for playable characters called the Invoker, about which the studio promised more details next week, although they did mention that it will use the mystical power of the jungle. As expected, the Forgotten Kingdom DLC will also bring new weapons and items such as amulets and rings, as well as new enemies and bosses to defeat. The Forgotten Kingdom is the second DLC for Remnant 2, following the release of The Awakened King in November last year. The DLC will launch on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S on April 23rd for a price of $9.99. There is also a pack that includes the new DLC The Awakened King, as well as another DLC coming out later this year. If you have the Ultimate Edition, you already have all of them at no additional cost. Next we have some news about Destiny 2's final story arc. Destiny 2 has faced a few challenges lately, but Bungie is actively working to get things back on track and lead the story towards its most crucial moment. In a few months, the final shape, a highly anticipated release, will take place, bringing with it legendary battles and exciting new content. In the meantime, the studio has revealed some details about what we can expect in the future. One of the most iconic games from the beginning of the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One era is without a doubt Destiny, made by the former developers of Halo. In September of this year, the franchise will celebrate its first 10 years, which will not only be a milestone, but also brings us closer to the goal of those initial comments from Bungie when they stated that we would have Destiny content for 10 years. Regarding the villains, the final shape will introduce the first new enemy faction to arrive in Destiny since 2018, called the Dread. This faction will include flying enemies with weapons, agile enemies specializing in melee combat, and others who will use powers that limit players' movement from a distance. As the name suggests, the final shape will be the conclusion of Destiny's current narrative, which involves conflicts between the forces of light and darkness since the original game's launch almost 10 years ago. However, the studio specified that this does not represent the end of Destiny. Luke Smith, the game's creative director, commented that by defeating the villain in this expansion, they will communicate to players what comes next in the world of Destiny, but they will have more to say about it in the future. It is expected that the studio will make the most important announcements in the months leading up to September as a part of the celebration of the game's 10th anniversary. The final shape will be released on June 4th. While the expansion is paid, the game is completely free on next-gen and previous-gen consoles, as well as PC. Lastly, we have some news about Atlas and Shin Megami Tensei 5. Atlas recently shared new details about their highly anticipated RPG, Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance. In the latest preview, the creators of the series, including Persona and Soul Hackers, among others, delve into the new narrative paths, character roster, demons, and gameplay systems. Completely updated with impressive visual effects for modern consoles, the dark mythology, unsettling atmosphere, and beautiful yet monstrous demons are back, and better than ever. Greatly expanded with new areas, demons, and music, Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance presents more accessible gameplay, an enhanced combat system, new demon experiences, and broader terrain exploration. Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance consists of 2 independent storylines. You can choose to experience a completely new route called the Canon of Vengeance. This is a dramatic saga of settling scores by the Fallen, centered on new characters and a new cohort of demons, the Quaristu, who weave their dark designs on the sidelines of the war between the defenders of the Order and those who seek to challenge it. Or you can explore the original story told in Shin Megami Tensei 5, the Canon of Creation, an eternal conflict between angels and demons in which the protagonist fights for the fate of the world. Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance arrives on June 14, 2024. The game is available for pre-order on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Windows, and Steam. So that's about it for this week's news. If you're interested in supporting the channel, be sure to leave a comment, let us know what you think about all the news, and check out our VIP subscription on the website for some exclusive supporter benefits. We'll be seeing you next week.